Our afternoon plenary was to feature Secretary Pizer, Secretary of Education, but his boss, otherwise known to us as the governor, said he needed to be someplace else. So instead, we have a member of Secretary Pizer's cabinet, our executive office, actually someone I've known for quite a while, and that's Robert LePage. Bob serves as Assistant Secretary of Career Education in the Executive Office of Education. In his role, he is primarily focused on post-secondary and higher education career programs and strategies to meet the talent and workforce needs of employers in the Commonwealth. They collaborate, he works across the Workforce Skills Cabinet, which is a collaboration of education, labor and workforce development, and housing and economic development. He also serves as an ex officio member of that board. Prior to joining the Executive Office of Education, this is actually where I met Bob, he was with Springfield Technical Community College, where he was vice president of the Foundation for Workforce Training. Bob holds an MBA from the University of Massachusetts, thank you, and a dual Bachelor's of Science degree in Marketing, Finance, and Insurance from Northeastern University. Please welcome Bob LePage.
Good afternoon out there. Oh, you can do better than that. Good afternoon out there.
Good afternoon.
That's much better. You thought following the panel this morning is quite an honor, and I want to congratulate that panel one more time. I see a couple of them down here. So I'm going to take a little time and share some things that are happening around the Commonwealth. But first, I want to thank you, because I know that in your role as educational leaders and teachers and instructors and industry leaders, that rarely does that parent who's complaining think to stop and thank you. Or the time that you take for that extra child, maybe someone like my kids, to do extra math problems at the end of the day or before the day starts. Or those parents who may be returning to college. Long ago, I was a community college professor, and I know those people in higher ed have always had the call of some student who's new, who can't get from the parking lot to the lecture room. And it's not just that it's a long walk, it's an emotional experience. And they don't always thank you. So I want to thank you. And on behalf of industry, and particularly in a day when we're celebrating partnerships, I want to thank you for your commitment to partnering. And it's really the essential secret sauce here in the Commonwealth. Last week, I had the opportunity to be part of a team from the Commonwealth to go to a New Skills for Youth, which is a national initiative to look at how we enhance career and STEM opportunities. And it was a collection of 10 leading states who were recognized last year by JP Morgan through a grant to look at how they could better career pathways in their state. And it was a very interesting experience. It's probably like Robert Kraft going to an owners meeting, because everybody would go, "Oh, you're from Massachusetts." And I go, "Yes, I am." They're like, "Oh, you're first in this, you're first in that, you're first in that. Why are you here?" Because we want to continue to be first, which is probably not the right answer. And of course, they would respond with, "How's Deflategate?" My answer was, that was the best STEM learning experience for the students in Massachusetts. We all know. Anybody who grows up in Massachusetts knows snow's going to come. The football with the air in it no longer works. You got to get out the Nerf football, right? Soccer balls don't work. They lose air and they're hard to kick. So you find other things to do. So let me give you a little insights on some of the things that we're working on across the Commonwealth that really, really are important. And let me start with partnerships. As I said, the key to partnerships is persistence. And it really is persistence. They're sloppy, they're messy, they're frustrating. It's hard to communicate. It's like in-laws in a lot of ways. You have to try to get everybody aligned to the same page. But ultimately, once you get them crafted and you start scaling them, what you grow is a huge amount of student impact and community impact. And you change students' trajectory in their lives, and you change the trajectories for their family. Because I know everybody here knows that the goal is to provide those students a pathway to a good, strong opportunity here in the Commonwealth to be employed that will allow them to be successful and allow their families to prosper and allow them to be engaged members of our communities. And it's those partnering opportunities along the way that set them on those paths. It's schools that are engaged in internships and programs like Connecting Activity, where they're getting students exposure as young as possible. Everybody, Linda and I were joking earlier about everybody has a stop in their pathway. Career pathways are not linear. We like to talk about them linear. We promote them as linear, but everybody has a job or two or three or four along the way that nobody would have ever mapped, right? Can I tell them what yours was, Lynn? Lynn was an owner in a bike shop, a very noble profession. Mine, this will sound strange because I can claim this title of probably the only assistant secretary in education who can say, I spent 2 summers traveling with a monster truck tour. I can tell you that's not the top of my resume, but I did learn quite a bit analyzing the monster truck tour. But as you go through these process and you start thinking about partnerships and building partnerships, what we know is that we have to help you build those partnerships through the Workforce Skills Cabinet. And here are some of the things that we've really been focused on in particular. And since people have bumped into me, who I've met over the last year and a half, we are going to continue to invest in resources for STEM education. And we're doing that in 2 ways. There will be another round of Skills Capital grants that will focus on how we build technology and equipment. There will be, and I think is out now, as mentioned by Lieutenant Governor, additional support through the Project Lead the Way project, where we're looking for people who are going to build a continuum of learning. And that really is essential in the partnerships. It's partnerships not just internally within our own organizations, it's a partnership in the continuum of that pathway, right? That opportunity for students that we're looking for you to build upon. So we are recognizing, and it really was inspiring to see the early ed STEM all the way through high school and on to college. It's a constant engagement, and we need to build off that. So we'll continue with both of those initiatives. We also have a number of connecting additional initiatives where we know that building partnerships and pathways in the Commonwealth is going to give students more opportunities to get to their destination. So I'm going to first remind you of the Commonwealth Commitment, which is a partnership between our community colleges and our 4-year institutions, state universities, and the UMass campuses, to ensure that we have clear pathways for students when they're getting on a post-secondary track, particularly in the STEMs, that they know that they can get from point A to point B, and that the learning is sequential and aligned, and the experience is ultimately going to lead them to a career. It's a very, very important part of what we've been working on. And it's one that's slowly scaling, but it's essential. And it's essential because it's about affordability, it's clarity of pathways, and it's accelerating the completion of pathways. Because at the heart of the dialogue that you heard this morning is, it's very simple in Massachusetts. We have more opportunities than we have qualified applicants. That is the current status, that is the projected future status. That's why the work that you're doing is so essential, because it's solving probably one of the most significant problems that we have in the Commonwealth, which is closing that skills gap. Commonwealth Commitment is a way to close achievement gap, persistence gap, and put students through. But that alone is not going to allow us to get there. The question is, if it's good to connect the community colleges and the universities, what are we doing to connect our high schools, our community colleges, and our universities? And I think you heard the Lieutenant Governor mention that a little bit today. And really, that's our initiative about realizing here in the Commonwealth, when you talk about STEM education, there's many students who get components of it. They may get the classroom instruction, but not the work-based learning. They may get a class, but not a sequence of classes. They may get some career awareness, but not truly advisement. And what we're realizing is that probably about 20% of the students in high school who are predominantly in our career and vocational technical programs are getting all of that. They're getting all of it, and they're all essential to make their career aspirations come true. So what are we doing strategically? We've just started the process of developing definable career pathways called innovation pathways that are focused on getting students awareness, knowledge, and career counseling in a sequence of courses in partnership with industry aligned to post-secondary partners. A student and his family in 9th grade should start becoming aware that college isn't the destination, it's a point on the destination. Where after the career, college is a way to get there. It's not the ending point. My generation, my parents said, you'll go to college. College is a larger investment of time and resources. It needs to be into a career pathway. For those schools that really are looking to the next generation, they're also realizing that there are many students who are going off to college with achievement gaps. I know everybody in here loves math, right? You all love math? Oh, we can do better than that. We all love math, right? Yeah, well, we got about half the kids in the Commonwealth believe in that. We all love math, right? Yeah, that's the best we're going to do. But we know when they get to college, there's too many of them that have to take remediation. So the early college platform and the early college program is really about realizing this. It's going to take structured approaches, it's going to take investment of resources, and it's going to take collaboration and partnerships. And I'll point out probably the most significant first step is we have a joint committee focused daily between higher ed and the Department of Elementary and Secondary Ed, along with the Executive Office of Education, Department of Labor, Department of Economic Development, and Secretary Ash's team, on how we move that partnership together. So early college designation applications and getting those programs aligned so that parents can make informed decisions. Then I'm going to talk about the last part of the initiative that I think really is the heart of all of it, is career advising. And I know career advising is often thought about of just telling people that they should go on to post-secondary, whether it's military service, whether it's an apprenticeship, whether it's into employment in part-time higher education, but that's not going to get us from point A to point B to close our workforce skills gap. We really have to focus on informed career advisement and career readiness. Programs like Signal Success that are being run by Commonwealth Corp and being adopted by schools, strategies where we have strong investment in career advisement, incentivizing our schools to invest in career advisement, creating professional development and career advisement, is going to drive the students to have the ability to identify their areas of interest, get on their pathway, and prepare them for work-based learning, because this is where it loops back to partnerships. We need partnerships across the board, but we need the partnerships with industry. And what industry tells you is we'd love to have students, and then they say, what do we do with them? What can we do to give them a good experience? Well, the best way to give students a good experience is to have them prepared. And they need to have the work readiness skills, the workplace knowledge, and be informed to allow them to shine in the workplace and make decisions on pathways. They're going to have experiences where they're going to learn that's not what they wanted to do. I learned, starting out as an insurance major, that wasn't what I wanted to do. It's a very noble profession, but it wasn't for me. We have to have students prepared early to get on pathways and to have those experiences. So all of that continuum is along the same goal of providing a structured support system to allow you as partners, both educators economic development, industry leaders to do what you do best. You're number one. We have the most educated workforce. But while the rest of the country is asking what we're doing, they're focused on having an educated workforce. We're focused on having the most talented workforce. That's very, very different. They're talking about, hey, maybe we should have data systems. We have data systems. What we have to do is leverage data systems. They're talking about maybe we should have standards in math. We have standards. We have the best standards in math. What we need to do is support you in the work you're doing through new initiatives that help pull your partnerships together and support your partnerships, and in particular in the areas of STEM. So I want to thank you for giving me a time to kind of share a little bit of what's happening. Most importantly, thank you again for your service, and also thank Lynn and her team for the incredible work that they do along with our sponsors in making this kind of event available to support the STEM talent in the Commonwealth. And again, I say talent. Thank you.